Hey guys, what's up? Mike here with another comic book review. I'm reviewing something that I've been waiting to review for a long time. It came out about 2 weeks ago. I think it's gonna be bi-monthly. I'm not sure, but if it is, that's awesome. I'm gonna be reviewing Winter Soldier number one, as you can see, and number two. So number two, I actually had the variant, the Spider-Man variant, for 50 years. Spider-Man. They even had the logo right there. 50 years Spider-Man. It's actually a very nice cover. Actually, it's really cool. And regular Winter Soldier. I don't really like this cover, but the one I liked was really expensive, so I was like, you know what? No. So this issue comic actually spins out of the pages of Captain America and slash Fear itself. Now, what do I mean? Well, in Captain America, right before Fear itself launched, Bucky Barnes was the fact that he was Winter Soldier was released to the public, and he was arrested. And he was extradited to Russia, put in a gulag, and where he remembered like a lot of his memories, like that he pushed down deep, and he remembered about these three sleeper agents that he trained, that are too dangerous to be left alone. So, in Fear itself, he dies at the hands of the Red Skull, the Red Skull's daughter, who is also now the Red Skull. Sin, he dies at her hands, but Nick Fury manages to save him, and him, Cap, Nick Fury, and Natasha Romanoff put off this ploy as if he's still dead, so he could go do these stealth missions to clean up his what he feels is his mess. So that's where Winter Soldier comes in. So he's now Winter Soldier again, and now he's gonna do some James Bond ninja cool stealth missions. So the creative team for Winter Soldier is Ed Brubaker, Butch Guice, and Bettie Breitweiser. Ed Brubaker and Butch Guice, I think Betty Breitweiser actually worked on Captain America together, which is really so. It's like it's this team they've done Captain America together. I actually like the work that they did on Captain America. So I've been looking forward to this a lot. And Betty Breitweiser, for you guys who watch my Secret Avengers review, she actually did the artwork. Not the artwork, the coloring. So it's this very pastelly, toned down. Um, Coloring style that I think is really effective for this type of comic. This type, as in, it's a superhero comic, but there's still like this spy James Bond feeling to it. Um, so um, the issue starts off with Bucky and Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, and they're in Vegas, and they're hunting down this capsule with this sleeper agent in it. And Bucky recalls that well, in the Cold War, the thought was that one agent at the right time, at the right place, with the right training, is more effective than an army, and that the war was fought in the shadows. Something that he knows a lot, and that Natasha knows a lot because they both lived through the Cold War. Um, how Bucky and Natasha lived through the Cold War, I will let you know later on. And she actually explain a little more about Bucky. Ed Brubaker does a great job. So these guys ninja in, suit up, ninja in, and they start whooping ass. Um, and they start just beating the crap out of just like soldiers and just like these guys with guns, hired guns. They get to the stasis pod and it's empty. Bucky's upset. They came all this way, but what the people they took down weren't the people moving the pod. It was a cleanup crew. So these guys. The guy's already missing, the agent, so they don't know where he is. He could be activated already. He could be anywhere in America, just blending in, waiting to kill someone important. So when they get back to their like hotel room or apartment, wherever they're staying in Vegas, Bucky's watching the news, and it's all about what happened in the recent years in Captain America, and it's a great way to integrate or to catch readers up on what happened. It talks about Bucky, how he was Captain America's sidekick, he disappeared, and then he reemerged as this new Captain America, and then his fall from grace, being outed as the Winter Soldier, and then dying, and then they're like, who was this Bucky? Like, who was he? Like, just some kid? And there's another Bucky who there's a guy who stood in as Bucky during the war and tells him, he was brainwashed. It's not his fault. He did a lot of things, but he was a victim too. So Natasha turns off the TV. And she tells how while when she saw the stasis pod, she had a flashback of how she saw him in the stasis pod once Bucky, and it terrified her. And he remembers, and he remembers all the things he did while they're talking. You know, him in the stasis tube. He remembers a little bit about that. He remembers training soldiers how to kill, training soldiers how to be American, how to talk as an American. You know, walk, act as American. And you know, even though you know, it wasn't really him, but at the same time, he remembers it all, and he remembers seeing these guys go to sleep in these tubes, you know, ready to be activated to take down America. So Bucky and Natasha had the sexy times, and the next day, I guess they wake up with their contact, Jasper Sitwell, who I guess is like their Nick Fury-esque contact. Nick Fury is also in the comic, but I guess he's like Nick Fury does his underground stuff, and this is their contact to Nick Fury, sort of like that. Their handler, I guess. So they find out that there's this Russian handler that's still around, that he's still living in the U.S., you know, with his American family. You know, he got married, had kids, living the American dream, but he probably knows where this guy is. So they go after him, and they find out this handler killed his family, killed his wife and his kids. You know, and Bucky's, you know, they're gonna take this guy down. So him and Natasha go to Minnesota, and they find this guy and they whoop the shit out of him. And he can't believe that Bucky's alive. And they find out where this Russian spy, super spy, is. They start staking out the place, and they find out that the people who bought the activation codes for the Russian sleeper agent is a group called Raid, who was once part of AIM, yada yada. You know, super secret. So these Bucky and Natasha decide to amp up the competition. They decide to sneak into the building. I believe it's like a hotel or something, or like a shipping company. And you know, first one to get seen buys breakfast. Natasha gets caught or seen, and you know, they had to fight their way through. So they whoop up on these soldiers, and you know, they see that the second sleeper agent is getting away, the second tube. He sees it, and it drives off. They're about to chase after it when they get attacked by a gorilla, like a gorilla with a machine gun. Ridiculous, I know, ridiculous, and it speaks Russian. We then see a scene in New York City. You see the Red Ghost. He's an ex Soviet scientist, and Lucia von Bartis. She is she used to be the Prime Minister of Latveria, but she was a bad guy. So, or like more of a bad guy than, you know, being Prime Minister of Latveria was. She was sort of killed and came back as a cyborg. So they decide that, you know, they that, you know, they bought these sleeper agents and they're using them. And you see that their plan is to use these agents to kill Doctor Doom, and this sleeper agent shoots a missile at him, and that's where the issue ends. No, so issue one. I actually enjoyed issue one a lot. Video's getting a little long for one, but yeah, it's a great job by Ed Brubaker to set up this world where it's grounded in so much like history. Whereas, you know, the Cold War, you know, there were like you know, sleeper agents. That's in a little bit of exaggeration, but you know, there were like spies. You know, the Cold War was an espionage war. Like it wasn't a war fought, you know, and battlefields against armies. It was spies versus spies and gathering intel and using that intel to your advantage. And Ed Brubaker does a great job of setting that tone and environment. And it's the artwork by Butch, Guice, and the coloring that helps set up that tone. The very pale backdrops and the dark. You know, the buildings are dark, the shadows are really dark, and these characters, you know, they're hidden in the shadows. It's a lot of shadow work. You know, you don't really see people's faces when they're fighting. You know, it's I really like how they're doing it. So he does a great job setting up this tone. It's a little heavy on the dialogue, but I guess that actually that helps a little bit um, with the setting of the stage. But as I said, I really like the way he integrated the history of Bucky. Sorta, he did it in a really short manner, one page. it's a news report, so you see like a little bit of screen captures of the what he's watching, but it's a great way of integrating history, comic book history and mythos into a comic so people can learn about the character and not have to go read 1,000 other comic books. They get the basic gist of it, and it allows them to go and then if they are interested in this character, to go and do some more research on their own. So Ed Brubaker did a great job setting up the stage. I also loved the gorilla. The gorilla was just random, especially since he started speaking Russian and had a 50 cal gun. He just started blasting at them, away. So that was a little surprising. You don't really see gorillas in Marvel comics as villains. Yeah, you don't. Off the top of my head, I don't remember any actual. Gorillas are big in DC, not in Marvel. Oh, yawning a lot. So issue one, great story by Ed Brubaker, great setting the stage. I'm really looking forward to Bucky Barnes fighting off these Soviet soldiers. I hope it's like a super beatdown. Like this arc doesn't drag on to like, oh, one issue he fights one guy, another issue he fights another guy, another issue he fights another guy. Like I that wouldn't be bad, but I think I'd prefer if he had like maybe consecutive issues of fighting or maybe one super beatdown, but not like, oh, this arc he fights this guy and then on the second like 3 or 4 part arc he fought this third guy. That's just tedious. Um, yeah. But yeah, great job by Ed Brubaker setting this world, and when it's grounded in so much realism, and especially since Bucky and Natasha don't actually have powers, they're like Natasha Romanoff. She's an ex-gymnast who knows how to kung fu stuff, and Bucky has that robot arm, but that's just like a prosthetic limb essentially. But he's essentially just he's a gymnast that knows kung fu or karate. So there's a lot of realism in this. Despite the gorilla and the superheroes, but there's so much realism. And like even if they didn't include the gorilla and they didn't include Doctor Doom or these Latvarians or these cyborgs, this would be a great comic to read. Just like Ed Brubaker does a great job, right, setting up this pulpy noir type comic world. Um, it is really really good. So the art, Butch Guice has an interesting art style. His style is very, it actually fits perfectly with this type of tone he's setting. It seems like a comic book that is more like crime filled. Like if you've been reading, just the art, like everyone's well proportioned. They look like average people, which is really really good. I really like his art style. This realism he puts into his art is amazing. Sometimes that the cartoony, you know, zany action is fun, but sometimes a little more realism helps a comic book get its message across better. And in this case, Butch Guice does a great job. Um, Colors, as I said, amazing coloring by Bettie. I love the way she colors. It's very pale, very toned down. So for issue one, I'm gonna be giving it actually a 4 out of 5. This issue was really good. Um, why I'm not giving it a 5 out of 5? I don't like giving things 5 out of 5s. Truth be told, there were some things that, as I said, that I didn't really like. It was a little heavy on dialogue. Some of the panels were laid out weird. But it's not a big deal. Just personally, it's 4 out of 5. Not bad. It's actually a really great comic. Like, I think I'll change my rating system. Maybe just buy, read, or forget about it. But but anyway, Winter Soldier, great read. Even if you don't want to buy it, if you're short on cash, give it a read, or just wait for the trade to come out. Not a big deal. I work part time, so all that money goes to comic books and food. So issue two, as I said, Amazing Spider-Man variant. Really like this cover. I wonder who did it. I want to find out. So this issue actually starts off with them finding the gorilla. Bucky throws some smoke, and Natasha goes to the roof to take out the snipers. She manages to whoop up on them, and Bucky gets punched by this gorilla. And he's wearing this reinforced suit, but he almost passes out. This is a gorilla. These things can kill a man in a hit. He starts shooting at it through the smoke, and this thing flies off into the sky with the jetpack, and they're just like, "What the hell just happened? Did we just get beat down by a gorilla who was wearing a jetpack, and they're just like, and Bucky is just like worst mission ever. I really like this laid back sort of, this is serious, but at the same time he's very he has this jokester manner to him, to relieve the situation. So they call their contact who calls in. They call in a cleanup crew, and they find out that someone just tried to kill Victor Von Doom in front of the Latvian embassy, and you see just Doom just like pissed off. Who dares assault Doom? You know, he's just freaking out. He's about to kill everything. Doctor Doom. So they go to their situation room, and they find out this shot came from across the street, and they got a picture. And Bucky remembers this guy. He remembers the three people who he put that went to sleep. There's one guy that he really hates, one guy he never trusted, and one guy he sort of liked, and that's not saying much because as much you could like a person. So they found out that they got somewhat intelligent guerrillas on raid payroll trying to take out Victor Von Doom. So they're all thinking the same thing. It's the Red Ghost. So they're trying to hunt down the Red Ghost and find out who gave away these activation codes. So you go to New York, you see gorillas, because the Red Ghost is a man who uses gorillas, or monkeys, or apes, and they wake up this sleeper agent to destroy America. So they go to Prague, and they sneak in. We go to Prague, and we see Nick Fury like ninjaing around, and I love the fact they're involving Nick Fury in this. He breaks into this place, and he finds out when the next auction is, and I think it's in Chicago. So they go to Chicago. They sneak into this auction where they're auctioning like heavy like hammer tech, which was what's his face? What's this guy? Norman Osborn's fake shield. Um, Pym particle generator thing. So Natasha and Bucky like they call a raid. They start just beating up people. There's whoop ass. And they catch this auctioneer, and they're trying to find out who sold what and what else did they buy. And you find out that Lucia von Barda and the sleeper agent, she's with the first sleeper agent, and they have a Doombot, and it doesn't look like a normal Doombot. It looks like a pretty badass Doombot. And they're gonna activate it, and that's where the issue ends. Sort of brief through this issue. It wasn't really long. It's actually really short. Just because like, so story wise, great way to continue this continuing this sort of secret agent type motif to it. Still keeping it's fast paced, but there's time to talk. There's action, but a little bit more, and there's spy stuff. I love Nick Fury in it. Nick Fury, who doesn't get enough screen time as a character. He's a great character. He's fought in World War II. Lived through the Cold War. He's fought the Skrulls. He's fought everybody. He has intel on everybody. He's like the Batman of the Marvel world. He essentially knows everything about everyone. And he is a spy, and he has the ability to do that. And I love the way they're bringing him in. He just sort of ninjaed his way into this area. So Ed Brubaker, you did a great job involving, tying this all together, especially with Lucia von Barda, whatever her name is, coming back from like La La Land where she was, and since Nick Fury's Secret War, when he got outed as got kicked out of Shield. But great job by Ed Brubaker, as I said, creating this world where even within the Marvel universe, there's a little bit of realism that you can find in this. Like if you remove some of this silly stuff, like the talking gorillas and the cyborgs, this could be the real world. You could have a spy, you could have sleeper agents, you could have this and that. As I said, great job. Continuing the great work. Art has not diminished at all. Great job by Butch Guice and Bettie Breitweiser. There's some actually interesting panels and page layouts that I couldn't get around to that were really interesting. I actually really like the way they laid it out. They used these blocks of colors, and there were words in the panels and like on the pages, but like dissipating to show where they were, and to describe names and stuff. Like it was really cool. If you get a chance to look at it, take a look, flip through the books. The page and panel layouts are really interesting. That being said, I'm gonna be giving this issue a 4 out of 5. As I said, it's the first issue. It's a little word heavy. In terms of there's a lot of detail to processes, and if you gloss over some stuff, you might miss it. There's a lot of sometimes you need to know a character. Like I said, Red Ghost, he's sort of a character not many people know. So you might need some previous Marvel knowledge or just general Marvel knowledge to know about these people, which is a little tough. I mean, for people casual readers, like I don't remember the Red Ghost like half the time. Like oh he's the monkey dude. But anyway, great solid issues. So you get a 4 out of 5. So issues 1 and 2, 4 out of 5. Great work by Ed Brubaker, Butch, Bettie, Breitweiser, and the entire Marvel team on this. I'm looking forward to issue 3. I think it's bi-monthly, so the next issue comes out in 2 weeks. I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks for watching, guys. This video is long. I guess I'm getting really caught up in this talking thing. Um, Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about the books if you're reading it. Other than that, have a great time and enjoy our books you're reading, and have a good weekend.